Govinda, Govinda. All of you can have darshan of our Thakurji. We are going to do a small arati for Thakurji. Let us all pray to our Thakurji. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
सर्वत्र गोविंद नाम संकीर्तनम,
गोविंदा गोविंदा,
सद्गुरु महाराज की
जय।
ज्ञान वैराग्य संपूर्णान हरिभक्ति परायणान पूर्व आचार्यान हम वंदे संप्रदाय प्रवर्तकान कलये सुंदराकारं सदैक प्रियदर्शनम् अज्ञाननाशकं देवं सद्गुरुं मुरलीधरम् मुरलीमण्डितकरकमलं मुनिजनमोहनं व्यत्यस्तपादं वनमालाधारिणं प्रेमभक्तमण्डलनित्यकीर्तितं प्रेमिकवरदम् आश्रयेऽहम्। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय हरये परमात्मने प्रणतक्लेशनाशाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। With the immense blessings of our beloved Guru Maharaj, Maharanyam Sri Muralidhara Swamiji, and by the causeless mercy of Sri Madhuri Sakhi Sameta Premikavarada Thakurji, we are together gathered today to do prayers for the start of a new year of education. Generally, we refer to that as an academic year, whether it is middle school, high school, or undergrad or grad studies. It's always our culture and it's always our good practice to start anything in the right earnest with a prayer. And today we are congregated here to do a small prayer to herald the beginning of our academic year. And before we go into the actual prayers, I think as youngsters, we need to understand the why of prayers, and I will quickly take you through the why of prayers. Before we even go into prayers, there are some books and some very interesting people we came across, and they gave me some very good insights about how we can be our productive and the happiest best. You see, productiveness or productivity and happiness need not be contrary to each other. We can be happily productive and productively happy. And they did some decades of research on that. And what I'm going to share with you is just a small snapshot of all those research stuff they did in the past about, believe it or not, 8 decades. And it was headed by able researchers right in the East Coast to the West Coast, right from Harvard to institutes like UCLA and the rest, of course, all the others in between. And before we start, generally, I know we focus on how do I manage my time, right? Especially high school can be pretty demanding of our time. And most of the time, we seem to focus on how do I manage my time? How do I manage my priorities given my time? What is urgent? What is important? What is urgent and important? And stuff like that. Our whole focus generally could be time management or managing my priorities vis-a-vis time. But now, our own experience and very good research by some really bright people have said there is another part of the equation which we need to manage to be our productive and happiest best, and that's energy, right? And we seldom focus on this very important aspect of life called energy. And so you have time and energy. And let me add a little bit coming from Indian origin. Uh, that makes it complete, you see. Chai, tea. And A stands for attention, right? So time, energy, and attention is what these are the factors which determine whether I'm going to be happy and successful or neither, right? So here, when we look at time, we all know what time is. We have been taught very well. We have been drilled into time management. We need to start looking at tasks, find out what is urgent, what is important. And you know what crisis is? When something becomes urgent and important, we call it the crisis. And many times I have seen in the places I have stayed, my brothers who are pretty young and they are like in the middle school or high school are constantly in that mode of urgent and important, which means crisis. They need to do it right now. And obviously, it's not a very happy place to be. And so, the trick is we as humans, not just as teenagers or adolescents or young people, we have this tendency to procrastinate. It is inbuilt in all of us. Even the people who advise you not to procrastinate, I bet all my savings on it. They are excellent procrastinators, whether they are CEOs or doctors or nurses, also called as parents. Okay, so it's inbuilt, you see. So it's easy for us to look back at those who advise and say, hey, watch yourself in the mirror first, but it's not going to be productive for me. So the first thing I need to work on is what is called as sieving through or filtering through what is really important to me. And if it's really important, even if it's not urgent, I start. And there is a lovely book written by a very wise minister, WISE. That minister wrote this book about 5,400 years back in India. The minister's name is Vidura, and the book is called Vidura Nidhi. In that, he says, if you think something is very important, assume it is due tomorrow and start working on it, right? And the first big impediment is always the start, isn't it? And to start something, the moment I get rid of, there are two types of inertias, right? The one inertia is the rolling inertia and at rest inertia. I'm sorry to remind you of your middle school physics, but we are here to pray for our academic year, so you can't blame me. So the first inertia is our dear old Newton, right? He said that a body continues to be at rest unless you give an extra force on it, which means I need to move it from the state of complete inertia, right? From the state of couch potato-ness. That first step of moving is what is a very critical step, and that's the reason why this wise minister told us that assume it is due tomorrow and start it off, you see. And generally, when it is due, say August end, it's already gone. Let's say October end, all right? And if it's due October end, and you think, let me start last week of October, okay? That's a typical way we generally do stuff. But try to taste this, what we call as proactiveness, by assuming, let me assume it is due tomorrow and start it off, and slowly add over time. You will find that it will be a breeze. Bit by bit, it's a breeze, isn't it? And so that's the time management. And I'm not here to talk about it, by the way. It's just an introduction. I'm here to tell you about energy management. And that's very crucial because I have learned something. And please don't take it as an advice and all that. I am not very good in advising, either taking or giving. But I am here to share some very good practices which have been researched in the West and practiced in the East for time immemorial, right? And that is energy. And the energy which we have, you know that world is undergoing an energy crisis, right? And they want renewable sources of energy, and they are sick of non-renewable sources of energy. So the same energy crisis is being underwent by our inner world. We are undergoing the same inner energy crisis. We have four sources of energy at our disposal, right? And the four sources of energy are, obviously we all know, the moment I say energy, we all know it's physical energy, which means, do I have the strength to even sit? And of course, your elders at home, especially the grand elders, whom we call grandparents, would always keep insisting, sit straight, and they bore us to death on that. But that's a good practice, by the way. You see, your real energy is in the back, and your real personality is in the back. When you actually stand erect and you stand straight, and you can, take yourself, compose yourself, it enhances your beauty free of cost, by 10%. I mean it. Would you ever look at a nerdy guy who's standing like this, or do you want to really go and talk to a person who's like composing, or they have the reports of something which exude confidence? This exudes absolutely defeatism. This exudes confidence, success, influence. And so first energy is the physical energy, obviously. And that's the energy of our muscles, that's the energy of your body, of all your sense organs and all that stuff. And guess what? You all know this well. When you go out to play, some of you do that, I'm sure, in spite of what's happening around us. When we just go and play, or at least see, right? We see the games. You have this NBA, NFL, and all those lovely three-letter stuff. When you actually see all these things, do you always find when you are racing against time, you have 2 seconds to go, and you are trailing by 2 points. I'm talking about NBA there. Suddenly somebody shouts, time out. Why? Because they are not managing time. They are managing energy. They are not managing just physical energy. They are managing mental energy, emotional energy. And that's the reason during crucial points, they do something very important called taking a break. You see? And when they take a break, I've always seen, whether it's LeBron or whether it is, I don't know which team you actually support for. Let me be very safe. Let it be Magic Johnson and stuff like, your grandfather's fans and all that. So when Magic Johnson is taking a break with 2 more seconds to go, what does he do? He takes out his mobile and checks his WhatsApp. Does he ever do that? Do really intelligent people ever take a break and get even more tensed with, oops, I didn't get as much likes as I wanted in Instagram? You see, when we take a break, it's a rejuvenating break, not another distraction break. A break is there for a purpose, for us to get back the energy, whether it is, emotional energy or intellectual energy or physical energy. You take the breaks often. And generally, it is well researched that beyond 1 hour to 90 minutes, if you don't take a break, your productivity will come down. Yes, you, my parents will say, focus for 8 hours in a row. Neither can they do, nor are they practical if they ask you to do the same. You need to take a break. And typically, maybe 1 hour to 90 minutes, take a good break. When I say a break, please don't go back to your game room and start working on your games, because I don't think it's a real break. In fact, it again engages your energy on a different, a level. A break I'm talking about is a physical break where you drop everything, take a walk, you see, and take a beverage, whichever are rationed at your home. You go and take that. And then you take a small walk outside, take some breath of fresh air, come back energized, because you will be your productive best when you take breaks. You see, there is a difference between a distraction and a break. I'm not talking about the distraction, we'll come to that later. So it's important we take physical breaks. The second important stuff I have heard from doctors, medical doctors, they say that when you actually fail to drink enough water, a 3% drop in your water level can affect in a 10% drop in your strength. Believe it or not. I mean plain water, not this fancy green, dark blue, light blue, all that. I don't know. I have no idea about that. Plain water. And taking a water break every now and then is going to actually give us the physical energy. See how simple it is. But there is one lesson I have learned, and I'm still learning, is instead of some earth shattering stuff I do for a week, small worm like movements day in and day out can make me a very different person in a couple of years. And the thought gurus who have made their millions writing books, they are calling it atomic habits. You know what an atomic habit is? Atom is very small. Make a small thing a habit and persist in the habit. It has two advantages. One, it gives you a strength of conviction that you mean business in your business of life, which means it gives you a clear reinforcement that I am strong. I can do what I want to, when I want to, where I want to, right? And the second thing with an atomic habit is we have this strange capacity of the brain to automate stuff, right? In IT, they automate, no? They call it subroutine, they call it a small little software package, it automates. All these atomic habits helps you to automate them, so you don't need any of these energies to sustain it, but it's going to give you back tremendous returns, like an investment in the shares of a very good corporate where you do nothing, you are just invested, you have a million share, no, maybe 1,000 shares, but it keeps on building over time and you're becoming a millionaire, billionaire, trillionaire, go on and so forth, because you invested in it, in the right thing at the right time. Likewise, please invest in a small atomic habit, which leads you to be a little more saner person, in the sense the well-being is enhanced, and it also helps you a little more in productivity. Those atomic habits go a long way in defining happiness and success. Is a very clearly researched and obviously and intuitively obvious stuff. That's so much on physical stuff. So make sure you are sitting ergonomically. I have seen many of the youngsters not understanding ergonomics, and the word itself is new to you, isn't it? Ergonomics means being in the most comfortable and productive posture, either while playing or reading or writing. I have seen people read like this, and they are going to need varieties of doctors in future, starting with a physiotherapist, ending with probably a neurosurgeon, you see. But if we can have a simple posture where my hands are not strained, my eyes are not strained, my back is not strained, guess what? It's a small atomic habit where you spend 3 seconds checking, am I in the right posture when I'm sitting down to read, right? That gives you tremendous awareness of making a small change there can give you extra 10% productivity. Physical stuff, water, posture, and of course timing also. Physical energy is best, and in different time periods for some people. Some people find their morning their productive best. Most people actually do that. Universally, morning is really a good time. And obviously, when you're tired after a long day, late in the night at 12 in the midnight, I seriously doubt if we are going to be our intellectual or mental best at that time. So you please see your cycle of how this energy is maximum in you. In the afternoons, people like us who are pretty young, you can add an and between that, but it's okay. And we feel a little dull in the afternoon. You see, I know that's your typical break time when your parents are slightly dozing off and you are freaking out. Anyway, so here, the time, for example, if I have to design my next series of talks, afternoon is not the time for me because that's my mental lowest, which means my creative energy is sapped out of me. And I had a very good meal, and I'm feeling a little groggy. I better take as a young guy only, not as a very young guy, okay? Not for you, for us. We take a short break, maybe half an hour of just a rejuvenating break, and then go back refreshed. I get some idea as well, right? So, mental energy is also something to be taken care of. When we are stressed, we lose about 38% of our productivity. It's a lovely talk. I'm sure you are exposed to that. It's called TED Talks. And there is a lovely speaker, and he was hilarious. But very, very intelligent material was also presented. His name is Sean Acker, and he gave a 15-minute speech. Whenever I feel a little dull, I go and see the speech, and it lifts my spirits up. Such is his language, delivery, etc. And I am not an agent for his business, but I'm just telling you that he's pretty good. And in that, he says, when we are stressed, when we are anxious, so on and so forth, we lose 38% of our productivity. Imagine that. Which means I need one third more time, which means I need 32 hours instead of 24 per day. But if I am refreshed, if I am clear, and if my mind is at, can I use the word peace? Not peace, maybe calm, I get the 39% advantage, which is how important I manage my mental energy. You see, instead of taking a long, winding, thorny, and lot of little stone route, don't you want a lovely, simple, straight path filled with lovely trees on the sides, and you walk straight to the goal? Imagine that 39% is the lovely walk in the park. If we can somehow manage our mental energy, and we are going to relate the spiritual energy and the mental energy together along with the emotional energy and show you that is the reason why simple atomic habits of using our own culture. I'm sure most of you come from a background of Hinduism. Either you embraced it or your parents are Hindus. And so we will use some very beautiful, time tested stuff from Hinduism to help us rejuvenate our emotional, mental, and spiritual energies. Physical energy, yoga will do the job. I'm sure some of you are already into it. If not, you should explore some simple stretching exercises to make us fit, right? Because physical energy is the frame in which all the other things are built. If you are not physically fit, very difficult to find emotional, mental, or spiritual fitness in a physically unfit person. But if a physical fitness alone does not entail the other three, so it's an and, right? And so let me start by saying, how do I get back my mental energy? The simple thing is, believe it or not, awareness. If we pay attention to what is happening within us, and we have dealt with it in many of the weekends, and I will try to see if we can get some videos for those who have not seen it. A simple self awareness of what am I feeling right now and what is the need attached to my feeling rejuvenates my emotional energy. And a simple way, which I'm going to show you right now, 3 minutes of practicing a simple mindfulness exercise with the Maha Mantra is going to help you get back your mental energy to a great extent, which is the attention part of it. This is the emotional calming part of it, and that is the attention part of it. And spiritual energy, it's all your choice, depends on your family, depends on your values, depends on your taste. And that's the beauty with Hinduism. I can't mandate this is how you get your spiritual energy to any of us. Not only me, none of the rishis did. Not only rishis, even Krishna did not say this is how you have to rejuvenate your spiritual energy. He gave various paths and said, pick one which suits you. One fit does not suit all. Different strokes for different folks is how Hinduism works. So spiritual energy part of it, I am not going to talk about it, but I am going to talk more about how do we rejuvenate mental energy, how do we stabilize and direct. Both are important when it comes to emotional energy. Everybody has tremendous emotional energy. How do we channelize it? How do we direct it? Because emotional energy is important, passion is important. If it is not directed properly, it comes in form of frustration, rage, or people just becoming insular and needing help of counselors or medical specialists and all that. And so if you do this little atomic habit, and by the grace of Bhagavan and grace of our Guru, we don't even need to lie in the direction where all these people are there to give us therapies. You see, we don't need all that. If you make small things as practices right now, I don't think we need any of those interventions in future. And how do we know whether I am prone to that or not? We don't. So it is always good to have it in our back pocket, because it does not demand much energy or time. It only demands your attention a bit, right? And that's the mental and emotional energy part of it, which I'm going to try to help you, do that on your own. And I'm going to show you a simple technique which we do it at 6:30 every day. In case you want a routine as a ritual to make sure you don't miss it, we as a part of GOD are trying to do that as a daily ritual, so that people who want to absorb it as an atomic habit can do that. And it is at 6:30 p.m. every day. You see, we call it as Namasmaranam, which is nothing but paying attention to the mantra, which helps us to get the focus back. And we are going to do that right now. Whenever we need a little bit of a mental attention, whenever we find our mind is a little bit turbulent, and it's do you know how the mind becomes turbulent? By wishing. I wish the school never started. I wish there is nothing called assignments. I wish there is nothing called exams. That's typically an Indian wish. But anyway, but all that is how the mind is now getting turbulent, because the real world has school, has all these academics. The real world has assignments, right? And the real world has exams too. You can't escape it. The more we waste our time in fancying and feeling frustrated and saying why, etc., the more we are stressed and more we are losing our happiness and productivity. So the first thing is being aware that my mind is little turbulent right now, disturbed right now. And that awareness itself is very precious. You see, you can be a leader if you have this awareness. And the world is in need of many leaders in future. Rest will all be taken by automation, artificial intelligence, etc. Leadership, only you and me have to find a way to enhance leadership, right? So the how we are going to enhance our mental and emotional energy is very simple. I would request you to do it with me. Our Swamiji used to say, as Swami Vivekananda also said, a pound of practice is better than tons of theory. You see, let's practice it right now. Wherever you are, if you're sitting on the floor, you all know that wonderful advice elders give you: sit cross-legged. If not, sit on the chair, relaxed, both your feet straight, and hold your hands on your lap as far as possible. Rest your hands on the side supports, and if possible, don't rest your back on your cushion back. Just sit straight. And remember one thing: India has taught the world the power of breath, and now everybody has copyrighted it. They have made their own modules there, and they call it yoga, that yoga, this yoga, etc. And simple way to start your mindfulness exercise to make sure your mind and your emotions are channelized, directed, and strengthened is, first of all, understanding how I breathe. We don't know to breathe properly, believe it or not. The only time we breathe properly is the time when we are sleeping without a dream, you see. And so you sit straight, and then watch your breath go in, fill your lungs, filling your stomach. Retain it for a little while, maybe 2 seconds, and then breathe out. Slow and easy. Just focus on your breathing. I would suggest 5 breaths in, 5 breaths out. not in that order. Take one breath in, leave it out. Another breath in, leave it out. Another breath in, leave it out. 5 times. Let's start now. Good. Next, we just use a powerful sound to direct our mental and emotional energies. This powerful sound is called mantra in Sanskritam. It has been borrowed by Oxford Dictionary as well. Totally misrepresented, but that's another issue altogether. Mantra means that which completely controls the mind. Manana trayate. And that which directs our energy towards the purpose which we define for ourselves. Mananat trayate. And that mantra has its own energy, has its own power. Not all words are alike. We always know that. When I scratch a board, it gives a very annoying noise. Even the memory of that annoying noise annoys me. So we know that sounds in itself has the power. Some sounds put you to sleep. You all know that, right? The sound of our teacher, especially through Zoom, puts all of us to sleep. And to make sure we are at check, they give us some sudden assignments, and thankfully we have groups in chats where we wake everybody else up saying, hey, assignment is on the way, wake up. Yeah. So some sounds put us to sleep, some sounds energize us, like a band properly played energizes us. If it's improperly played, it also gives an emotion called annoyance, right? And if you are the band master, it gives another emotion called frustration. And if you are the head of the institution, I know it's also called rage, you see. But anyway, so you have sounds which gives its corresponding emotions. Some sounds put to sleep. I once had a teacher, and we just had Teacher's Day, so I have to remember the teacher. That teacher used to talk like that. T cos theta minus f sin theta equals tan theta. So you have to actually divide both sides of the equation. Not the teacher, us, you see. Halfway we lost. And she goes on to give a very complicated derivation. Finally, triumphantly, she raises the voice, QED! And that's when we all wake up, you see. So a monotonous, sonorous voice puts us to sleep. Power of sound. Mhm. And some sounds, when you scratch, screech, etc., gives annoyance. Power of sound. Some sounds gives us energy, like the band, etc. Some of the music which we listen gives us energy. And some sounds can give us attention, focus. And those sounds are what is called as mantra. No wonder they are divine, because the most difficult enemy, the most difficult revolution is to control the mind. You think saying no to your parents is a big rebel stuff? It's all preliminary. Even your parents did that. What you need to do different is, can you rebel against your turbulent mind? Huh? Can you rebel against my habits? Can I not take just my habits for granted? Can I actually find out if I can be better? That's the real rebellion. And that is what is the real inner revolution, you see. And that takes guts, that takes tremendous strength. And only you people with that energy are capable of that. People who are 60 plus takes tremendous effort to do that rebellion or revolution. But our age, which is typically middle school, high school, or college, etc., you have that energy to make that revolution within. And that can happen when we know how to harness our mental and emotional energy, and mantras help us do that, you see. And so let's go back. I digressed a bit. And so let's go back to the 5 breaths, and I'm going to use a mantra, and that mantra everybody knows. If you are in this call, you should be knowing that. And that mantra is called Maha Mantra. And it's a very special mantra. 16 means completeness. 16 means totality. 16 means total abundance. It has 16 names there, arranged in a very, very intriguing order. There is symmetry, there is asymmetry, you see. And the more you actually pay attention to that mantra, the more it will put you into the state of high mental energy in form of attention, and high emotional energy in form of availability to direct it in form of getting things done, and rebelling against my unproductive acts, etc. And so that mantra is very simple. It has two parts: Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. That's it. You all know this mantra. We are going to use this mantra to tap into our tremendous replenishable energy, which is our mental and the emotional energy within. Are we ready now? 5 breaths. And then this is how we chant the mantra. We are going to synchronize our breath with the chanting. Taking a breath in is always an active stuff. This happens on its own, you see. And so when I am taking the breath in, I can't chant. Can you? You can't. You can chant only when you release the breath out. You see, don't try chanting while taking the breath in. It will be grotesque. Okay. So when you take the breath in, you just focus on the air going inside, filling our lungs. Allow that breath to remain for 1 second. And you have to anyway exhale it out now. At that point, exhale it out by chanting this divine name. My only request is pay attention to the name which you are chanting with your ears. That's all is required. And that will energize you. Let's start this. Second deep breath in, out. Third in, out. Fourth in, out. Fifth in, out. Now the sixth in is going to come out with Hare Rama, right? Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Breath in. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. In. Take a deep breath in, out 5 times. That's all you need to do. 5 times in, 5 times out. 11 times of breath in and the divine chant. And then cap it up. Protect the gains with 5 breaths in, 5 breaths out. And then proceed to whatever activity you need to focus on. To start with, this is going to be difficult. Nothing comes easy when during the start. But as we do this atomic practice, come what may, tell yourself, be a rebel here. And come what may, I shall certainly do it. And I make it an atomic habit. And slowly the habit grows in you. And you can do it instead of once, maybe you can try it twice a day and thrice a day, and that should be enough for us. And use it whenever you need your energy, your mental or emotional energy back. The force of practice will give you that energy as quickly as possible. But we need to add it to our atomic habit for this to actually get our energy instantly, right? And this is the first part. And the second part would be a proper prayer, because all of us are devotees also. We also have faith in Bhagavan, whether it is Krishna or Shiva or Hanumanji or Devi or Muruga or Ganesha, our Ishtadevam. And we shall also chant, being a devotee, with the divine name 11 times continuously. Remember our favorite deity in our heart and pray to the deity for this academic year to be positively eventful, and for us to learn, and more important, I think, for me to enjoy my learning, and to enhance my memory power and recollection power, and enhance the acumen of my intelligence so that I use it not only for my academics but also in all walks of life. So, prayer is for this academic year to be positively eventful so that I can learn a lot and I can enjoy my learning, and I also uh, enhance my intelligence in academics and in all walks of life. Can we pray for this? And before that, let's do the mental, emotional energy Maha Mantra practice once with me. You do it together. 5 times in, 5 times out, 11 times chanting, 5 times in, 5 times out. After that, all of us, including your parents, please join us in chanting the divine name, praying to our beloved Lord. This name is common for all deities. And let us pray to them earnestly with humility, with faith, for us to be bestowed with good memory power, learning power, and for them to bless us with the joy of learning, and also to enhance our intelligence in academics and in all walks of life. Mhm. We'll do that. First is 5-11-5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Chant. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Fine. there you are, fresh as a fresh cucumber or whatever you say. And that's for your mental and emotional energy. Let's do a quick prayer to our Ishta Devata and chant along with us. We shall chant Maha Mantra musically, and you can also join us in the chant. Feel the joy of devotion, feel the joy of bhakti, and look at your favorite deity, Ishta Devata, and we are going to chant 11 times musically, and I'm going to give you half a minute of a silent prayer for this academic year to bring in all wonderful learning, joy, cheer, and of course results too. सर्वत्र गोविंद नाम संकीर्तनम
गोविंदा गोविंदा
सद्गुरु महाराज की
जय।
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare.
Half a minute of silent prayer. We pray that all our youngsters who are facing the new academic year be blessed with the joy of learning, and we pray that they manage their energies, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, properly, harness them towards productive learning, and also enjoy the process. And may the most benign Lord, our beloved Madhuri Sakhi Sameta Premikavarda Thakurji, and may our beloved Master, His Holiness Maharanyam Sri Muralidhara Swamiji, bless all our youngsters with an excellent academic career, which is both fulfilling and successful in the same token. And with this prayer, we shall conclude this prayer session with a harati to our Paduka Bhagavan and to our beloved Thakurji. जय जय मंगलम श्री गुरो
जय जय मंगलम सद्गुरो कमल विलोचन श्री गुरो कारुण्यमूर्ते सद्गुरो भागवत प्रिय श्री गुरो परम दयालो सद्गुरो पावन चरित्र श्री गुरो पतितो तारक सद्गुरो मंगल चरणा श्री गुरो मुरलीधर नुत सद्गुरो जय जय मंगलम श्री गुरो जय जय मंगलम सद्गुरो मुरली निनादैः श्रीकृष्ण रूपेण पुराववर्ष अद्यापि सोऽयं मुरलीधराख्यो पुष्णाति प्रेम्णा भुवनं सहर्षम् संकीर्तिते महामन्त्रे तत्र विर्भूय तत्क्षणं सुप्रसन्नो भवेद्यस्तं प्रेमिकवरदं भजे यस्य स्मरणमात्रेण जिह्वाया वर्धते स्वयं महामन्त्रस्तं भजामि मुरलीधरदेशिकम् मयेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणाय इति समर्पयामि। सद्गुरु महाराज की जय। गोपिका जीवन स्मरणं गोविंदा
गोविंदा
आंजनेय स्वामी की जय।
राधे राधे।